Doing well, Your Honor. How are you?
I'm doing well, so thank you, Ms. Falk. Let's see, where are we starting today?
Good afternoon, Judge. We're going to be starting with position 3, Mr. Cox.
Okay, and I see that we have a interpreter on the line this afternoon. Do we have a place to put her this afternoon?
Yes, we do, Judge.
Okay, just let me know when you all are ready for that. Good
It'll probably
afternoon.
in the next 2 minutes.
Okay, that's fine.
Good
This is-
afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Thank you for being here. We appreciate it.
You're welcome.
And who's representing Mr. Cox?
That's me, Your Honor. Kinsey Johnston on behalf of Mr. Cox.
Okay, good afternoon, Ms. Johnston. Good afternoon, Mr. Cox. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we are conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video? You're on mute, courtroom 2. You with me, courtroom 2?
I'm sorry, go ahead, Judge Morrow, what did you say?
You're on mute. Mr. Cox, we're doing this by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
No, sir.
You don't?
Say yes.
Yeah.
Okay. You have been charged in case 22 CR 007679F with 1 misdemeanor offense. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
15 total. Last arrest was 2021, simple assault out of Clayton County. It says disposed, 90 days served. June 2020, ag assault battery, that is open in Clayton County. 2016 trespass NOLO, 2014 trespass dismissed, 2006 aggravated assault criminal trespass conviction. That's it.
Judge, good morning. Good afternoon, Judge.
Hey, Mr. Howard, how are you?
Good. I spoke with Mr. Cox earlier, and we're going to submit an order for the court's consideration in relation to his case. And, rather than do a breakout, we'll submit the order.
Okay, so it's going to be an MHE?
Yes, Judge.
All right, so whose case is this with the state, Ms. Falk?
That's Miss Campbell's, Your Honor.
Oh, okay. Ms. Campbell, what is the recommendation from the state as far as bond goes?
Your Honor, the state was going to be requesting a $5,000 surety bond for this defendant. Did you want me to go into the reasons for that request?
Well, if they're going to submit an MHE, he's going to be in custody anyway. So $5,000 good bond. What are the conditions?
The state was going to request that this defendant be ordered to have no contact with the victim. Her name is Tatiana, Tatianna Miyasaki, Myasaki. And the state was also going to request that this defendant be ordered to stay away from the incident location, which is 550 Peachtree Street in Atlanta.
No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond, and then mental health MHE evaluation. Is that fine with you, Mr. Howard?
Judge, I believe there's a bond already set in this case. We would just ask that it remain the same with the conditions that the state requested. Given where he is financially, right, he wouldn't be able to post a bond. So we would ask it just remain as is until we're able to assess the matter further.
Okay, given that he's going to have an evaluation prior to getting that, I'm going to go with the $5,000 of good bond, stay away, no further contact, and the MHE. Once he has the MHE, if you want to come back to me and have a bond modification, we can do that. Okay.
Okay, and actually, Judge, we'd ask that it be placed on, the next.
Right, on the next
comprehensive calendar. Yes.
comprehensive calendar. Okay.
Do we know what the date of that calendar is?
Each Thursday, so it would probably be the next Thursday would be the 17th, I believe. Yes.
Okay, is all that good with the state?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, very good. Good luck to you, Mr. Cox. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
Okay.
Who do we have next?
The Spanish interpreter is ready for,
Okay, in courtroom 3.
yes.
And whose case is that? Is that your case? Mr.
Your Honor, I believe,
The first one is for Mr. Lynch. This is Mr. Mejia.
Okay, so we'll place you into a breakout room with the interpreter, Mr. Lynch. Good afternoon, so that you can discuss, okay?
thank you.
You're welcome. So if we can put them into a breakout room.
Come on, Ms. Ball. This is gonna be position 1, Barber.
Good afternoon, Ms. Barber. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we are conducting by video to help prevent the spread of the virus. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you, Ms. Barber. You've been charged in case 22 CR 007672A with simple battery against a person who is 65 years or older or who was pregnant at the time of the offense. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
Second arrest. Last arrest was back in August. Trespass. I think it was trespass damage to property. That's a $3,000 pretrial bond. That's it.
Ms. Campbell?
Yes, Your Honor. The state's request regarding the defendant, Ms. Teresa Barber, is that the court give Ms. Barber a $3,500 surety bond. And the state is also requesting that the defendant be instructed to stay away from the location of 2055 Allison Court, which is also the incident location. The state is also requesting that the defendant have no contact whatsoever with the defendant in the victim in this matter. And the victim's name is Kelvin, Kelvin Boyce. The state is also requesting that this court instruct the defendant to take a 1-day anger awareness course. And the reason for the state's request at this time is because this defendant violently attacked an elderly member of our community. It's from the state's understanding that this attack was without provocation. The victim in this matter is 67 years old. The defendant in this matter is 29 years old. We have had contact with the victim. He does indicate that he is very afraid of the defendant. He states that this is not the first time that she has been violent towards him, but that this is the first time that she called the police and reported it, that he called the police and reported it. And so he's told our office that he's afraid to even walk to his mailbox for fear of seeing the defendant and the defendant physically attacking him again. So as your honor knows, the state has charged him with the sole count of battery against a person over 65 years old, which is a very serious allegation in light of the fact that the victim is one of the most vulnerable members of our community. So the state does believe that, on the basis of the Ayala factors, this defendant poses a danger to this victim. And so that is the reason for the state's request of the $3,500 surety bond, as well as those other conditions that the state mentioned.
What was the allegations of simple battery?
Oh, yes, Your Honor. So the defendant is alleged to have hit the victim with a broom, and the officer did observe visible bruising to our 67-year-old victim.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Campbell, Ms. Johnston.
Good morning, Judge. Ms. Barber is 29 years old, as Ms. Campbell just stated to the court. I want to start out by pointing out that she does live at 2055 Allison Court. I know the state is requesting a stay away order from there, but Ms. Barber lives at 2055 Allison Court in apartment 8. That is her address. She's lived there for 6 years. She lives there with her 6-year-old daughter, and she is the primary guardian of her daughter, the primary caretaker. So we would ask that that stay away order either be amended to just Mr. Boyce's apartment, but she does live there, so we would object to that. I also want to point out that Miss Barber works as a dishwasher at Q Time Restaurant right now. She's been in contact with her work, and if she is to be released today, she would still have her job if she can get out of jail. I want to remind the court that we're not here today to determine her guilt or whether or not the facts as alleged happened, but Miss Barber does assert her innocence and that anything that might have occurred was in self-defense between her and this alleged victim. We would object to a one-day anger awareness course because Miss Barber has not been convicted of any crime. And we would be asking for a signature bond on this case because she cannot afford to pay the bond as the state is asking for it. And it is imperative that she gets out of jail as soon as possible so that she can care for her daughter, who is 6 years old, and so that she can return to work so that she could keep providing for her daughter. Thank you.
Do you know the number of Mr. Boyce's apartment, Ms. Campbell?
Let me check with my victim witness advocate. I don't believe that was in the warrant, the actual apartment number, but if you'll give me just one moment.
Okay.
I would like to add something additional while I'm working on that. I would like to note for the court that this defendant was already out on a signature bond when she picked up this new case involving the battery of this particular victim. More specifically, as pretrial mentioned, although there's only 2 cycles, the prior cycle was from August of this year. So a little less than 4 months ago, and that's for the criminal trespass. And she was given the benefit of a signature bond in that matter. And so, you know, while out on bond, she allegedly attacked, like I said, one of the most vulnerable members of our community. And I also learned that she failed to appear for court back on October 31st on that criminal trespass case that's open. And so now she has an FTA on that open case. So the state just believes that a signature bond would be inappropriate in light of the fact that she's also a flight risk. She may not appear for court on this matter. She's already not appeared for court on her other open matter here in Fulton County State Court. So the state is concerned that if she's given yet another signature bond, she may not appear for this particular case either. And I did check with my victim witness advocate, and we do not have an apartment number, but I will add that the victim did tell our victim witness advocate that the defendant does not live at that apartment complex, and that the property manager has specifically stated that he or she does not want the defendant to return to the property.
Ms. Johnston, your client has her hand up.
Yes.
Ms. Barber, you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can be used against you. Quite often, people think that what they're going to say is going to help their case, and when in actuality, it does not help your case. It only hinders your case. So I'm happy to let you speak with Ms. Johnston about, I believe that the issue that you raised your hand on was when Ms. Campbell was talking about how you missed court.
Yeah. Yes, Judge, I think I can speak for Ms. Barber because I have been informed about that issue. Ms. Barber has been in contact with her bondsman on that. It seems it was a clerical issue on why she missed the court date, and then it has been reset. I didn't see that as yet updated on Odyssey, but Ms. Barber did provide me with a very thorough explanation of that misunderstanding, and she has been in contact with her bondsman and lawyer about that court date.
Okay, thank you. If nothing further, it's going to be $1,000 good bond. No further contact with Mr. Boyce. Stay away from Mr. Boyce's apartment. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Ms. Barber.
Thank you.
All right. Position 12, Palmer. Come on, Mr. Palmer.
Good afternoon. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we are conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes.
Thank you. You have been charged in case 22 CR 007675B with 2 counts of criminal trespass. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
16 total. Got a 2007 vehicle theft conviction. Looks like Alaska. 2007 theft conviction and a 02. It says misconduct of a controlled substance conviction. As far as the Georgia history, 2018 failed to appear, possession of cocaine, possession of drug-related objects, giving false name. Another 2018 FTA, another 2018 failed to appear, same charges. 2017 theft by taking dismissed. 2017 FTA for cocaine, probation violation, giving false name. 2016 FTA for possession of cocaine, drug-related objects, and giving false name. Another 2016 arrest, probation violation. 2016 another failure to appear. Another 2016 failure to appear. Unlawful conduct during 911 calls, pled no to that. 2015. That's it.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Ms. Salette.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. On November 6, 2022, Officer Young with the Atlanta Police Department responded to a criminal trespass call at 2452 Morrisco Way in Atlanta, and that's a Kroger. Upon arrival, Officer Young met with the security manager, Jason Kroonmeyer. Mr. Kroonmeyer stated that the defendant was walking inside the store and heard the defendant yelling and screaming. He then began knocking items off of the shelves in the store. Security advised the defendant to leave the property, and the defendant would not leave the property and continued to yell and scream and curse towards security. The defendant then made his way towards the front of the store, and then he began throwing himself into a wall of the grocery store several times, and he caused 3 big holes in the wall at the Kroger. The defendant was placed into custody at that time by Officer Young. I believe I heard at least 5 failure to appear arrests between 2016 and 2018. Because the defendant appears to be showing a pattern of not appearing to court, the state argues that he poses a risk of not appearing for court in the future. So the state would be requesting a $500 surety bond on each charge, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons while out on bond, and stay away from the incident location at that 2452 Morrisco Way, that Kroger.
Ms. Kim?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Palmer is 39 years old, and he has been here in Georgia for the last 10 years. And he does not have any family members except brothers and sisters. And last 2 years, he has not had any employment, Your Honor. On top of that, he's residentially challenged. So we are sending social worker services to make sure that he gets resources. And also I'm going to ask social worker services to see if there's any rehabilitation facility available for him to go, because he's interested in those treatment. And we would like to request for a signature on bond for this case. Right now, there's a $2,000 surety bond. However, I think he has no financial means to pay for any bonds. So we would like to request for a signature on bond. Thanks.
Okay, so so everyone knows the SAP reset date is going to be November 22nd. For Mr. Palmer, it's going to be a $500 good bond for each charge, making it a total of $1,000 good bond. Stay away from the Kroger on Moresco Way. He's to have a social worker visit, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Ms. Kim,
Yes.
you will, if he does not get out by the state all-purpose calendar, if you will make sure that someone does inform me of the social worker visit, and I'll revisit this bond if appropriate.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, good luck to you, Mr. Palmer.
Position 7, House.
Good afternoon, Mr. Howes. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're conducting by video to help prevent the spread of the virus. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. You've been charged in case 22 CR 007683C with one misdemeanor offense. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
28 total. Last arrest was in March, given false name, on probation in Superior Court for terroristic threats. It's 22 SC 181773.
Your Honor, for this case, I would like to request for either breakout room or keep the charges in a more discreet manner.
I believe that the solicitor's office will have an objection to the breakout room. Ms. Salette, if you would be as discreet as possible when you are giving the presentation to this court. Mr. Howard, are there anything further?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
I apologize. I didn't mean.
With that terroristic threats, it was a trespass and a PI conviction as well. 2019 disorderly conduct, criminal trespass, possession of a Schedule II controlled substance conviction. 2019 trespass arrest. 2019 probation for shoplifting and disorderly conduct. 2019 simple battery conviction. 2019 trespass conviction. 2018 trespass disorderly conduct conviction. Another conviction in 2018 for trespass. 2014 probation. 2013 parole violation, armed robbery, ag assault. Not sure what the disposition was for the arm and the ag. 2013 battery conviction. There was a false imprisonment with that. It was indicted in non-process. 2012 probation. 2011 false imprisonment, battery, hindering conviction out of Douglas County. That's it.
Thank you, Ms. Salette.
Yes, Your Honor. On November 7th, 2022, video surveillance footage captured the defendant touching the victim, Miss Mahtab, M-A-H-T-A-B, Parsamer, P-A-R-S-A-M-E-H-R. Like I was saying, the video footage showed him touching her on her buttocks. This video was viewed by the Georgia State University Police Department. The state's recommendation at this time for this charge is going to be a $5,000 cash bond, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons while out on bond, no contact with the victim, and stay away from the incident location. It was on Decatur Street and Kimball Way in Atlanta. I'm assuming that it was on the Georgia State University campus, as this was a warrant from the Georgia State University Police Department. The state's reasoning for that bond amount, Your Honor, the defendant's lengthy history, and in particular, he was convicted of that public indecency in 2022. He was actually released on October 27th after pleading guilty to that public indecency. And maybe it looks like about 10 days later, his behavior has escalated, and now he's actually touching someone without their consent. So the state would argue that he poses a risk of reoffending due to his history and picking up a new charge so quickly. He's a danger to the community because his behavior is escalating at this point. I also show that he has prior FTA arrests from 2004 and 2005. So the state would argue that he poses a risk of not appearing for court in the future as well. Nothing further from the state at this time, Your Honor.
Ms. Kim?
Yes, Mr. Howsey is 38 years old and he was born and raised here in Georgia. He does have 3 children and one of them is only 13 years old. So he pays for the child support as well. And his mother is here. He resides with his mother as well, who retired from Navy. He has a job. Actually, he had a job that he worked for 4 years and then he had a little bit of laid off, and then he got he was called back to keep that job. So he was really excited to continue his job. And now this arrest is kind of making his job at a risk. He has a GED, and also we would like to request for the judge, Your Honor, to keep $1,500 surety bond as is. Right now, there is a bond already, which is $1,500, and my client could not even afford $150, 10% of that. That's why he's still there, and 5,000 cash bond is like impossible when even $1,500 is no bond for him. So we would like to make sure that it is considered. Thank you.
All right, it's gonna remain where it is, a $1,500 good bond. Stay away from the alleged victim, stay away, enough for the contact with the alleged victim, stay away from Decatur Street and Kimball Way. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond.
Thanks, Your Honor.
Good luck to you, Mr. House.
Thank you, bro.
Your Honor,
Yes,
Your Honor, this courtroom 3, can we go to a breakout with the Spanish interpreter?
okay,
Position
yeah,
number
position?
6,
okay.
position number 6 and Ms. Johnson.
Say it again.
Position number 6 and Ms. Johnston.
I have, with Attorney Johnston. Okay, Mr. Hernandez. Okay. Again, good afternoon, Madam Interpreter. If you'll raise your right hand for me. Do you swear affirm that you will translate from English to Spanish and from Spanish to English to the best of your ability?
Yes, sir, I do.
Your Honor, she needs to go into a breakout. I'm sorry.
Oh, they need to, I thought they were already. Oh,
No, it's another one.
Oh, okay, so we have two that need interpreters.
Exactly.
All
That's
right.
correct.
Okay, I'm sorry.
It's
I'm-
position
I'm
six,
sorry, may I
position
interrupt?
nine.
Yes. Ms.
Is it
Johnson.
that I need to go in a breakout room with Ms. Hernandez, position 6?
That is correct.
Because
She
I
said-
already spoke with her.
She said she feels a little bit more comfortable with the interpreter.
Okay,
Okay.
Do you
that's
still,
fine.
do you
I mean,
still
I
need-
got all the information from her, but I can go and speak with her again.
Make sure that everything is correct as you understood it.
She wants to do it again. She wants to do it again.
Okay,
Yeah, she says some things she wants to say that I guess she wanted to say in Spanish and she couldn't say in English.
Okay, so let's put them in the breakout room with position 3. I mean,
Thank you.
with courtroom 3. And who do we have in courtroom 2?
This is Mr. Belwick's position 2.
Okay, and
I believe that is also Miss.
Oh, I'm sorry. You know what? Okay, never mind. We're gonna switch out. We'll do position 13, Mr. Puckett.
okay. Good afternoon, Mr. Puckett. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we are conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Puckett, you have been charged in case 22 CR 007676G with willful obstruction of a law enforcement officer and battery. Is your history, Mr. Howard?
He got over 50 total. Majority of his history come out of Florida. Last arrest was back in January for battery DV. Charges were dropped. Before that, it was like a 2005 failure to appear. Another 05 arrest for disorderly conduct and assault from 05 as well. Before that was 04, selling cocaine. Yeah, everything is old. I didn't see an address on the booking sheet, Judge. So, I don't know. I mean, the history is extensive, but he was recommended SOB jail, but I don't see an address. So, I defer to you.
All right, Ms. Salet.
Your Honor, on November 7th, 2022, Officers were dispatched to 1105A Holcomb Bridge Road, and that's an Exxon gas station, in reference to a physical disturbance call. Upon arrival, officers made contact with the victim, Kyron Griffin, who stated that the defendant, while inside of the Exxon gas station, began swinging and punching at him, tackled him to the ground, and continued to strike him before the defendant exited the store. Upon officer arrival, they observed this incident on surveillance footage, and they also observed the victim to be spitting up blood. They also noticed a cut on the victim's left shoulder blade, and the victim also stated that he believed the defendant had cracked his tooth. Officers were able to locate the defendant, and they attempted to place him in the rear of the patrol vehicle. The defendant began tensing up and using his arms and legs and refusing to sit in the rear of the patrol vehicle. He had to be told several times to comply with commands to stop resisting. Eventually, officers were able to secure him into the patrol vehicle. The defendant, as stated, does have 61 cycles out of Florida. His most recent battery arrest was in 2022 of this year. So the defendant is a multi-state offender. He does pose a risk of not appearing for court in the future. And this was a violent crime here. Again, once again, another battery arrest within 2022. So the state's recommendation at this time is a $5,000 surety bond, $1,000 surety bond for the obstruction charge, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons while out on bond, stay away from the Exxon gas station, no contact with the victim, and a one-day anger awareness while out on bond.
Mr. Lynch?
Your Honor, my client is 39 years old, and he has been in the Atlanta area back and forth since, I believe, 2019. He did obtain a GED. He does work full-time through a staffing company, which I believe is Staff Zone. Previously, he worked with HelloFresh. I'm not familiar with his entire criminal history, but I don't believe he has had any convictions for a violent offense, if at all, not in quite some time. So, Judge, we would ask that you release him on his own recognizance or a signature bond. If not, Your Honor, we would ask that if you were to set a surety bond in this case, that you set it a little bit lower than was recommended by the state, perhaps $2,500, so that it's in an amount that he is able to make. That's all this time, Your Honor.
All right, for the obstruction, a $500 good bond. For the battery, a $1,500 good bond makes for a total of a $2,000 good bond. Stay away from the Exxon on Holcomb Bridge Road. No further contact with the alleged victim, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Puckett.
You said $2,000 good bond, correct, Judge?
Yes, that's correct.
Position 11, Mr. Moore.
Your Honor, when you get a chance, we can go to courtroom 3, position number 6.
Okay, do you all want me to go to position 11 or position 6 first?
Go ahead to courtroom 3, Judge, that's fine.
Okay. Good afternoon. Ms. Hernandez, I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the state court expedited accusation calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
She needs a Spanish interpreter.
No, she's talking to me.
Yeah, he's talking. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, good afternoon and yeah.
Señora, yo soy el juez Morrow y esta es la sesión de casos de manejo rápido estatales. Estamos mirando esto a través de video. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you. And was that a yes?
Señora, ¿está bien continuar así a distancia?
Sí,
Yes.
sí.
You have been charged with criminal trespass.
Usted tiene un cargo que se le alega por allanamiento de morada.
Your history, Mr. Howard?
Hay antecedentes, señor Howard.
This is her fourth arrest. She don't have any violence or everything is driving related.
Ella tiene 4 arrestos anteriores, pero nada relacionado con la violencia. Han sido todos relacionados con el tránsito.
Ms. Campbell?
Yes, Your Honor. For Ms. Hernandez Areola, the state is making a recommendation of a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial services. The state is also.
One moment, please, one moment, thank you. Sí, hemos ofrecido un convenio declaratorio por una multa de $3,000 bajo firma y a través del servicio previo al juicio. Thank you, ma'am.
The state is also recommending a 1-day anger awareness course for the defendant.
Y también se recomienda que tome una clase para el control y manejo de la ira.
The state is requesting that the defendant have no contact with the victim in this matter.
Y también la fiscalía pide que la señora no tenga contacto con la víctima en absoluto.
And the name of the victim is Armando, Armonda, Mija, Meija, Marquez, Marquez. The state.
Sorry. También no puede tener contacto. La víctima se llama Armando Mejía Márquez. I think I don't need to spell it. Would you like me to spell it in Spanish too, madam?
I don't think you need to spell it as long as you said it, Madam Interpreter. Thank you.
The state is also recommending that the defendant have no contact with a third-party witness that was also present during this incident. And that person's name is Wendy Herrera, Herrera Moreno.
La fiscalía también pide que este acusado no tenga más contacto alguno con la tercera parte que fue testigo de este evento y su nombre es Wendy Herrera.
And Your Honor, the facts as alleged in this particular matter are that this defendant unlawfully entered the property of her ex-husband, who is the victim in this matter, Mr. Mija Marquez. She entered.
One moment, please. En este cargo, señor, el alegato es porque este señor, él entró de manera ilícita en la residencia.
Judge, I'm sorry, Ms. Campbell, if I could say something really quickly.
Si puedo decir algo rápidamente.
I just want to state that defense is fine with the signature bond that the state is requesting if we didn't need to read out the facts of the case, since defense is okay with it.
Trataría de pedir que no se lean las defensas o se dé cierta información y pedir para mi cliente una fianza bajo firma para ser aceptada por el juez.
So, Ms. Johnson, you're good with the $3,000 signature bond through pretrial, 1-day anger awareness, no further contact, and a stay away?
Entonces,
Yes.
señora abogada, ¿usted está de acuerdo que se le otorgue una multa bajo firma de $3,000 a través de los servicios previos al juicio, que tome una clase de control y manejo de la ira y que no tenga más contacto con el testigo en este caso?
And no
Sí.
drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond.
Y también queda prohibida el uso de drogas, alcohol y armas mientras usted esté libre bajo fianza.
All right, very good. Anything further, Ms. Campbell?
Yes, Your Honor. The state would just like to still put the facts on the record if Your Honor is going to allow the state to do that.
La
And the state,
fiscalía pide que por favor nos permita su señoría de presentar todos los hechos en esta acta.
If you'd like to do that, go ahead.
yes,
Si
Your Honor,
usted,
just
quiere hacerlo, sí, proceda. Sí, su señoría.
just briefly. The defendant did enter her ex-husband's property through an unlocked front door, and she did
El acusado entró a la propiedad a través de la puerta de atrás que no estaba cerrada en la casa del ex esposo.
find the defendant in an intimate encounter with a third party.
Y ella encontró a ese esposo en un momento íntimo con una tercera parte.
She attempted to attack the third party.
He or she, I'm sorry, I'm confused, madam.
The defendant attempted to
Okay.
attack the third party.
El acusado intentó atacar a esa tercera parte.
And the victim, her ex-husband, had to put her out of the
Y la
home.
víctima, el esposo, tuvo que sacarlo afuera de la residente. De la
And at the-
residencia, sorry.
I'm sorry. And at that time, the defendant threw a lamp at the victim's front door.
Y en ese momento el acusado tiró una lámpara contra la puerta del frente de la residencia.
In your honor, lastly, the state would be asking for a stay away from the victim's address.
Y el último requisito que la fiscalía pide es que el acusado se mantenga distanciado de esta residencia.
Where this occurred, and that address is 560 Creekwood Crossing in Roswell.
O sea, el lugar de donde ocurrió, y esa dirección es del 560 Creekwood.
Yes, Creekwood, I'm
Thank you.
sorry.
De a crossing in Roswell, Georgia.
Nothing further from the state.
Nada más de parte de la fiscalía.
Good luck to you, Ms. Hernandez.
Judge,
Tengo
Igual-
una pregunta.
Hold on.
do I need to order an interpreter for pretrial?
No, I believe she speaks
You good? Okay.
English.
All right.
The client has her hand up, Ms. Johnson.
Ms. Hernandez, as we discussed before court, I would not recommend you say anything. Judge has already set the bond. If you have any questions about paying the bond or signing the bond, pretrial can help you with that.
Señora, yo le quiero pedir, como hablamos antes, que no diga nada, pero si usted quiere hablar sobre su fianza o cosas, esa parte de su caso, usted va a hablar, puede hacer preguntas cuando se registre.
Está bien.
That's fine.
Una disculpa.
I apologize.
Anything further from Ms. Hernandez?
Algo más para la señora Hernández.
Good luck to you, ma'am.
Mucha suerte, señora.
Sí, gracias.
Thank you.
Where to next?
Position 9, Major, this is also interpreter case.
La posición 9, señor Mejía.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mejia. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation calendar that we are conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Señor, yo soy el juez Morrow y estamos tratando hoy en día la audiencia de causas estatales de trámite rápido a distancia. ¿Está de acuerdo con que prosigamos su caso de esta manera, a distancia?
Sí, está bien.
Yes, that's fine.
You have been charged with battery, family violence, cruelty to children in the 3rd degree, and hindering persons making an emergency telephone call.
Señor, usted tiene los siguientes cargos: golpes y lesiones, violencia familiar, crueldad ante un menor en el 3er grado y por dificultar el hacer una llamada de emergencia a una persona o personas.
I've been told by pretrial that this is his first arrest.
Entiendo que a través de los servicios previos al juicio he sido informado que este es su primer arresto.
Ms. Salet.
Yes, Your Honor. That's this being his first arrest.
Sí, este es el primer arresto del señor Mejía.
On July 31st of 2021, officers were dispatched to 437 Michael Drive.
Sí, en el día del 31 de julio del 2021, los oficiales fueron despachados para llegar a la dirección 437 Michael's Drive.
Upon arrival, officers spoke with the victim in this case, Adriana Hernandez Areola.
Al llegar, la policía habló con la víctima, que llamada Adriana Hernández Arreola.
Ms. Areola stated that she and her husband, the defendant, had been in a verbal dispute.
Ella les dijo que a ella y su esposo habían estado en una discusión verbal.
The victim stated that she struck the defendant because the defendant was angry and had been violent with her in the past.
Struck her with the phone. I'm sorry.
A broom.
Oh, thank you. La víctima entonces dijo que ella había tenido problemas antes con su esposo y por eso sacó la escoba.
At that time, the defendant began grabbing the victim's arms and holding her down and struck the victim several times.
En ese momento, el acusado trató de agarrarla y también tirarla hacia el piso, la tiró y en ese momento, en esa situación, la golpeó.
He struck the victim on her side, nose, left eye, and left ear.
Ella y la golpeó en el costado, también sobre la nariz, en el brazo y también en el oído izquierdo.
Officers observed that the victim's left eye was swollen and she had blood on her arm. She also reported pain to her left ear.
Los policías también vieron que tenía otras lesiones había como marcas en el brazo izquierdo, también se veía el brazo con sangre y ella reclamaba que le dolía el oído izquierdo.
The victim stated the defendant left the scene with her phone in order to prevent her from calling 911.
La víctima declaró que el acusado se fue del lugar de los hechos con su teléfono para evitar llamar al 911.
The victim had to run to her neighbor's house in order to call 911.
La víctima corrió a la casa del vecino para llamar al 911.
The victim and the defendant's daughter was in the other room and could hear the arguing and the physical assault, and also saw blood on her mother.
La víctima y la hija quedaron en una habitación donde podían escuchar toda la discusión, la agresión física y la sangre que tenía su madre.
The state's recommendation for the battery family violence charge is a $3,000 surety and $1,000 surety bond on each of the remaining charges.
La fiscalía pide que una fianza bajo garantía de $3,000 por el primer cargo de golpes y lesiones, violencia familiar, y $1,000 de fianza para cada cargo que quedan, los otros dos.
Stay away from the incident location, 437 Michael Drive, Alpharetta, Georgia.
Y también que se mantenga alejado del lugar del incidente 437 Michael Drive en Alpharetta, Georgia.
Stay away, no contact with the victim, Adriana Hernandez Areola, and the minor child, whose initials are GVMH.
También que no, otra condición es que no debe tener contacto con la víctima Adriana Hernández Arreola y con el menor cuyos nombres se expresan con iniciales GVMH.
No alcohol, drugs, or weapons in a one-day anger awareness.
Queda prohibido el uso de drogas, alcohol y armas y debe tomar una clase de control de la ira.
Your Honor, due to what we know about the cycle of violence, the state would argue that the defendant poses a risk of reoffending.
Debido a el ciclo de violencia, creemos aquí en la Fiscalía que el acusado puede volver a cometer otro acto de violencia.
The victim also stated that the defendant had been violent with past, even though he does not have a prior arrest record.
I'm sorry, you got cut off. Would you please repeat?
The victim stated that the defendant had been violent with her in the past, although he does not have a prior arrest record.
Thank you. La víctima también declaró que el acusado había sido violento con ella en casos en el pasado, pero aunque se estableció que nunca tuvo un arresto por eso.
Nothing further from the state at this time.
Nada más de parte de la Fiscalía.
So your officer spoken with Ms. Arreola?
Entonces, ¿los oficiales hablaron con la señora Arreola?
Your Honor, not at this time because she actually was the defendant in the prior case.
No en este momento porque la acusada era, perdón, en el otro caso ella era la acusada.
And what we stated before was reported to the police. It was in the police report.
Y todo lo que presenté antes quedó escrito en las notas del policía, el informe policial, perdón.
Mr. Lynch?
Judge, I'm going to ask the court for a signature bond on this case based on my client having no previous convictions for anything.
Voy a pedirle que debido a la verdad de que mi cliente no tiene antecedentes penales relacionados con la violencia, yo quiero solicitar una fianza bajo firma para él.
He does work for a tree service, which I believe is a family business. However, he does have...
Él trabaja para un servicio de corte de árboles y parece ser un negocio familiar.
It is my understanding that he does financially support his daughter with I believe the alleged victim in this case, and the...
También entiendo que él mantiene a la menor y que él tiene con la víctima.
And Judge, he also has limited assistance at this point with him being able to negotiate the bond system. I had tried to get a contact, but he doesn't have anyone's number that he can reach out to from in jail, so he's going to have issues.
Señor, también quiero explicar que él tiene limitados recursos financieros. y también porque no tiene contactos. Traté de conectarme con alguno de ellos, pero él no tiene a nadie que pueda venir y pagar una fianza. Go ahead, sir.
And that's all at this time, Your Honor.
Eso es todo por ahora, señoría.
Okay, so in the future, if you all would just point out to me that it's a dual arrest, please.
En el futuro, por favor, avísenme que esto ha sido un arresto de 2 personas.
That would be helpful when I'm trying to put the facts together in my head. So if you all wouldn't mind doing that, I'd appreciate it.
Sí, por favor, así yo evito la confusión que tengo en la cabeza. Por favor, avisen antes.
Questions that I have regarding this matter, there's a child involved. The child, is that Mr. Mijas and Ms. Hernandez's child?
Sé que hay un menor en este caso, pero ese menor es nacido del señor Mejía Márquez Armando y de la señora Hernández.
Yes, Your Honor.
Sí,
Okay. So if it's a dual arrest, there's a child involved. They're both going to have, and they're not going to have contact with each other. There's going to have to be third-party transfer of that child. I'm not keeping the child from the mother or the mother from the child.
No voy a mantener al menor alejado del padre o de la madre, pero ustedes no van a tener, no pueden tener contacto el uno con el otro. Y para hacer visita con el menor o la menor, tendrá que usarse una tercera persona.
Okay, so, and it appears that the child was at Mr. Meja's residence.
Parece que la menor o el menor estaba presente en la casa de Mejía Márquez.
If she was charged with criminal trespass and there was a child there.
Y ella fue acusada por allanamiento de morada y hay un menor involucrado.
Is that right or wrong?
¿Es correcto o incorrecto?
Your Honor, so this is not a dual arrest case. These incidents happened a little over a year apart.
Oh, okay.
Este no es un caso con partes, 2 partes a la vez, pero los incidentes ocurrieron hace un año.
But they do involve the same parties.
Pero sí, las partes, ambas están involucradas en este caso.
So he had a warrant out for him when this incident happened with the criminal trespass. Is that
Entonces,
right?
Se le emitió una orden de arresto cuando ocurrió este incidente. Le dio un cargo de allanamiento de morada a ella. Eso es correcto.
Okay, and they share custody of the child?
Ellos comparten la custodia del menor o la menor.
Judge, if I may step in, because I spoke with Ms. Hernandez about custody. It was my understanding that she has main custody of the daughter.
Su señoría, quisiera decir algo porque hablé con la señora Hernández y con respecto a la custodia, ella declaró que ella tiene la principal custodia.
It was my understanding that he lives separate from them and has for some time now, and that she has custody of the daughter.
Entiendo que ellos han estado viviendo separados y que ahora ella tiene la custodia del menor o la menor.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Johnston. Okay, so as far as the bond goes, it's going to be a $2,000 signature bond for the battery family violence.
Entonces, vamos a decir que $2,000 de fianza se le otorga, una fianza bajo firma. Y, I'm sorry, Your Honor, I lost the last part. 2,000 signature bond.
For the battery family violence.
Thank you. Son $2,000 de fianza bajo firma por el primer cargo de golpes y lesiones, violencia familiar.
$1,000 signature bond for the cruelty in the third.
Y $1,000 de fianza por el cargo de crueldad ante un menor en el tercer grado.
$1,000 signature bond for the hindering person making an emergency telephone call.
Y $1,000 de una multa bajo firma por dificultar el hacer una llamada de emergencia a una persona.
Makes it a total of a $4,000 signature bond.
Sit up, sit up, sit up. Okay, sit down. Come on, please. Come on, let's take you out. Come on, let's take you out. You done.
Let me know when you're ready, courtroom 2.
Come on, please.
Got position 11.
No,
hold on.
we're not finished. There was some commotion going on. I wanted to settle down so that Madam Interpreter would be able to effectively speak with Mr. Mayha. Okay. Had you completed your sentence, Madam Interpreter? I'm sorry.
No, would you please repeat it?
Okay. $1,000 signature bond for the hindering person making an emergency telephone call.
Oh, yes, I did. I did say that. After
Okay.
that is when.
Okay, all right. So it makes it a total of a $4,000 signature bond. It's all going to be through the jail.
Entonces va a ser un total de una fianza bajo firma de $4,000 que deberá trabajarse con los gente de la policía.
Stay away from the 437 Michael Drive address.
Y también debe mantenerse alejado del domicilio 437 Michaels Drive.
No further contact with Ms. Ariolo.
No puede tener ningún tipo de contacto con la señora Arriola.
He is to have third-party transfer of the child for visitation.
Él debe tener un transporte del menor o la menor hecha por una tercera persona.
No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond.
Y queda prohibido el uso de drogas, alcohol y armas mientras usted esté libre bajo fianza.
Okay. Anything further on Mr. Mayha?
¿Algo más, señor Mayhem?
Not at this time, Your Honor. Thank you very much.
All right.
No por ahora.
Good luck to you, Mr. Mayha.
Buena suerte, señor Mayhem.
And thank you, Madam Interpreter. We appreciate your help this afternoon.
Oh, you're welcome, Your Honor. Have a good evening.
You do the same. We'll see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. This is the South Annex. Before you is position number 8.
Good afternoon, Officer Milton.
Good afternoon, sir.
This is Ms. McCoy.
Yes, Your Honor.
Good afternoon, Ms. McCoy. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. Good afternoon, ma'am. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we are conducting by video to help prevent the spread of the virus. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. You've been charged in case 22 CR 007673H with battery substantial physical harm. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
History out of North Carolina. She's been in custody since 2021. You want those charges?
Yes.
According to the booking sheet, it's terrorist threats, felony obstruction, misdemeanor obstruction, DUI, driving without a valid license, ag assault, simple battery against police, criminal damage to property, first degree, and a couple of battery charges. He has assault and battery conviction out of North Carolina, 2019. Larceny, simple assault, breaking and entering. Those were dismissed without leave by the DA. 2018, possession of stolen property, obtained property by false pretenses. The misdemeanor larceny was a conviction. The other charge was dismissed. 2018, assault and battery, assault with a deadly weapon, minor presence. Those cases were dismissed. 2018, misdemeanor child abuse, it was dismissed. Simple assault, she was found not guilty in 2018. 2016, DV protective order violation, that was dismissed. And guilty conviction for simple assault in 2016. 2014, simple assault, threatening phone call. It just shows as an arrest. 2013 disorderly conduct conviction. That's it.
Ms. Select.
Your Honor, on June 8th, 2021, the defendant was charged with getting into an altercation with a Maverick Yoder, who was an employee at the Emory Hospital in Midtown at 550 Peachtree Street, Atlanta. The defendant did scratch Mr. Yoder, and officers were able to observe a bloody scratch to the victim. Due to the defendant's violent history, the state would argue that she is a danger to the community and the property of others. She does have history, North Carolina as well, and pretty recent history, I would say, from 2021. So the state would argue that she's a multi-state offender and poses a not appearing for court in the future. That 2021 simple assault, obstruction, and terroristic threats case was actually, she pled guilty to that case on November 3rd of this year. So she is currently on, well, actually, I don't believe she's on probation, because I do believe that she got credit for time served for the 365 days she spent in Fulton County Jail. Due to her history and being a multi-state offender, the state would be recommending a $3,000 surety bond, no contact with the victim, Maverick Yoder, stay away from the incident location unless medical treatment is required, no alcohol, drugs, or weapon while out on bond.
Ms. Select, what were the dates of those last convictions? What were the dates of the offense date? Do you know?
The latest conviction was November 3rd of 2022. I do believe the arrest date was in 2021. If you give me 1 second, I can get the exact date.
Before you do that, Ms. Select, thank you. Ms. Kim?
Yes, Your Honor, Ms. McCoy is, she has been here in Georgia for about 1 year and 4 months, Your Honor. She was arrested and she's been there in the jail from July 10, 2021. And this kind of came up very, very late. We would like to request for a signature on bond. She has one child, and she lost her custody to the father. So, I mean, she lost her job. She was doing home improvement before her arrest. She worked there for about 9 years. And however, now she doesn't have any job. She doesn't have any assets, and she has lost her own apartment place, evicted, and Your Honor, she has been there for a long time enough. We would like to ask for signature on bond. Right now, there is a $1,000 surety bond. Even that she could not pay. So there's no way she's going to be able to make any kind of bond for this. So we strongly recommend to give her signature on bond. Thanks.
Your Honor, I just wanted
Yes.
to add that the arrest date for that conviction was July 10th of 2021. And the victim, Mr. Yoder, I do believe I see his name on here. If Your Honor would sound for him, I'm not sure if he would like to speak or not.
Well, and the 550 Peachtree Street, what location is that?
That is Emory Hospital, Midtown, Emory University Hospital, Midtown.
And was she there for medical treatment?
So she was there to visit a patient, and they denied her visitation. And once they did that, she checked herself in as a patient so she could sneak to see whoever she was trying to visit.
Okay. Good afternoon, Mr. Yoder. This is your opportunity to speak. If you like to speak, you're not required to speak, but if you would like to speak on this matter, you'll have to unmute yourself, activate your camera, and I'll have to swear you in. Okay. Would you like to speak on the matter, sir?
Yeah, sure.
Can you raise your right hand for me? Do you swear affirm the testimony you're about to give before this court be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, you can put your hand down. What would you like to tell the court, sir?
I mean, our job is hard enough. The injury wasn't like anything serious, but I know it's not like, I guess, a matter of record in the case, but she was being aggressive towards other staff as well. There's more than just me. I don't believe that they chose to like press charges, but I did, and I was there just trying to back up my charge nurse, and she ended up punching him. That's when we got in and kind of restrained her. Usually, we have a lot of aggressive patients that are they're not sound of mind, and that's one thing, but she was sound of mind. She was aware of what she was doing, and I don't know, she had intent. So I most of the time it's like these things, there's conflating details that are there's other reasons they're doing these things for like mental illness or something like that. But from what I could tell is it was just aggressive behavior, and I felt like I had to press charges just for that.
All right, thank you, sir. Anything further?
No.
All right, we appreciate it. Anything further, Ms. Karen, Ms. Salette?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right, I'm gonna leave the bond where it is, $1,000 good bond, no further contact with Mr. Yoder. Stay away from Emory Hospital at 550 Peachtree Street unless she is there receiving medical treatment. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Ms. McCoy. You also. You're welcome.
Can we be excused, Your Honor?
Yes, you can if that's the last person you have there.
Yes, sir. Thank you for everything.
Have a good day. Thank you. Who do we have next?
Position 11, Mr. Moore.
Okay, good afternoon, Mr. Moore. I'm Judge Eric Moore. This is the state's court expedited accusation calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. You've been charged in case 22 CR 007674C with possession of open alcohol container and driving under the influence of alcohol less safe. Is there a history? This is I've been told the first arrest.
No, sir. No history.
Okay. Ms. Salette.
Yes, Your Honor, on November 7th, 2022, approximately 2 a.m., officers arrived on the scene of a domestic dispute call at 625 Elm Street, Roswell, Georgia. Officers observed the defendant in the driver's seat of the vehicle, and one defendant left the vehicle. Officers observed that the defendant's eyes were bloodshot and watery, and that he was standing in a slouched position. The defendant admitted to consuming alcohol throughout the day. The defendant did refuse field sobriety test and implied consent. Upon searching the vehicle for inventory, officers did locate an open beer in the driver's side cup holder, partially empty. And the defendant had been driving to that location moments before police arrived, and he was the only occupant at that time. The state's recommendation at this time is $1,000 surety bond on the possession of open alcohol container and a $2,000 surety bond on the DUI charge. No alcohol, drugs, or weapons while out on bond, and no driving. Due to the egregiousness of these charges, this is a public safety issue for him to be drinking and driving. He is a danger to the community due to that.
It appears that we have lost Ms. Salette.
Your Honor, I believe that was all the state's recommendation was.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Falk. Ms. Kim?
Yes, Mr. Richard Moore is 48 years old, Your Honor, and he has been here in Georgia ever since 2017. He has 2 adult children, and he has his families and sisters all here in Georgia. So he has a strong ties to the community, and he has a job. He's gainfully employed as a salesperson and to sell electrical equipment. He also has a bachelor's degree from the college for the occupational leadership. He also served in the Army from 1993 to 1996. And we're going to have a Veterans Day this coming Friday. And he was discharged as honorable charge. And then, Your Honor, this is his first DUI case, and we would like to request for split bond for cluing to alcohol container. We would like to request for signature on bond for from the jail, and then for DUI, maximum $1,000 good bond. Thank you.
Okay, for the open container, it's a $500 good bond. For the DUI, it's a $1,500 good bond. And no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Moore.
Thanks.
My apologies, Your Honor.
No
Thank
problem.
you,
That happens to me all the time. Who do we have next?
Got position 5, Mr. Durden.
Good afternoon, Mr. Durden. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video? You're on mute, courtroom 2. Do you agree to have your case heard by video, sir? Thank you. You've been charged in case 22 CR 007681D with simple battery family violence. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
Second arrest, 2021 misdemeanor possession of marijuana, pled nolo.
Ms. Campbell?
Yes, Your Honor. The facts as alleged in this particular matter are that on the date of June the 9th of this year, the defendant threw the mother of his child, whose name is Jade Lugo, to the ground, and he also stomped her with his feet, according to the report. During the process of doing this, he also ripped her shirt. And the reason that the police were dispatched to the location to begin with is because there was a 911 call and it was a hang-up. So the state's recommendation for this defendant is a $3,000 surety bond. As pretrial mentioned, this is only his second arrest, and the prior arrest resulted in a NOLO conviction. It's a nonviolent offense, possession of marijuana, but the state does still have concerns about this defendant being a danger to the victim, considering the fact that the victim is the mother of his child, and he's going to have to continue to have contact with her going forward because they have a child together. And it's unclear from the police report what incited this particular incident, but the state does believe that he presents a danger to her. So in addition to the $3,000 surety bond, the state is also requesting a one-day anger awareness course. Nothing further from the state.
Okay. Have your office spoken with the alleged victim?
Yes, we have had contact with the victim this morning, and she is saying that she does not want to go forward with the charges. However, the defendant has also called the victim from the jail since he's been arrested on this case. So the state does have concerns about the potential of witness intimidation. So that's the state's answer.
And I did not hear anything about a stay away.
Yes, I would be asking for a stay away from the victim, and her name is Jade Lugo. The victim informed our office that neither her nor the defendant live at the incident location anymore.
Ms. Johnston.
Yes, Judge. I'd like to start out by saying, pointing to Mr. Durden's lack of criminal history, we would be asking for a signature bond in this case because of that. And it was my understanding that he did meet the criteria. He works 6 days a week at Fresh Express. He can go back to that job upon his release. I also want to point out that I believe that the officers were able to identify Mr. Durden in this case because he is a victim in another case where Miss Lugo's family allegedly assaulted him. So there's a lot going on in this case. And because of all of that, we would just ask for a signature bond for Mr. Durden.
Okay, he doesn't have any objection to the no further contact and a third party transfer.
Mr. Durden, I see you're raising your hand. So if you can just say something as far as the no further contact, if there's an issue there or a third party transfer issue, anything else, I don't think we should say anything.
Yeah, just a few issues, but I guess pertaining to the no contact besides her harassing me, calling my phone consecutively, and then not letting me even see my son. Like,
Mr. Durden, I think the judge just wants to know about if it's okay for you to do a third party transfer for the child.
Okay, but then who would be designated for the?
Whoever you can, anybody, if I say that you can't have any contact with Ms. Lugo, that means no contact whatsoever. So if you have another family member that could help you with transferring the child so that you can have visitations, I'm happy to do that. But it doesn't sound to me at this point in time, given what your counsel's telling me and what issues that you might be having with Ms. Lugo and her family, that any type of contact is going to be good for you at this point in time, or her. Okay, so you'll have to get a third party to transfer your child for visitation. Okay.
But with that being said, all right, and I'm sorry, but like the whole initial incident, I was not.
Okay. Let me just tell you this: you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can be. Listen to me. Can be used against you. Quite often, people think that what they say is going to be helpful, and it's not helpful. So I'm going to give you a signature bond so that you can sign yourself out. But I don't want you having any further contact with Ms. Lugo at the present time. Okay.
So I have another question. Now, if Ms. Lugo continuously to call my phone 20 times a day and text my phone.
Well, you'll have to do something about that. Okay, you're not to have any contact. Ms. Lugo, I see you on here. If you want to speak and address this matter, I'm happy to hear you. If you hear me, then Mr. Durden is not to have any contact with you. You're not to have any contact with Mr. Durden. All right, Mr. Durden, I can't do anything about her calling you at the present time, but that will be up to you in the future if something happens for you to exercise your rights in that regard. As far as this bond goes, it's going to be a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial, 1-day anger awareness class, no further contact with Ms. Lugo, third-party transfer for visitation of the child, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Are we clear?
All right, can I, so now me speaking to the public defender, is that still on record? Is that like if my public defender was here next to me, I would be able to converse with her right now?
You can still talk to Ms. Johnston, okay? And
is this conversation would be public and then on record, or is this would be like in a real world scenario where she'd be here talking to me, then I'd be able to converse with her?
Mr. Durden, if you want to have legal advice, we can have conversations, just the two of us, like we did earlier. But right now we're in court, so anything we're saying, the state is in court right now, and they're listening to it, and they're writing all of it down to be used later on. So that's why Right now, we're not
My
talking.
whole problem with this whole thing is it's convenience my life because I'm not the aggressor. I'm not the person that initiated anything.
I know that, Mr. Durden, but the judge already set the bond, so we're not gonna be able to get the case dropped today. And we're gonna be able to work on the case after today, but right now bond is set and we gotta move on with the calendar and to honor the judge and the rest of everyone in court right now.
All right, good luck to you, sir. Who do we have next?
Position 2.
Yes. Could you pronounce your last name for me, sir?
Yes, Your Honor. Belkowitz.
Hey, good afternoon. I'm Judge Eric Mora. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we are conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. You've been charged in case 22 CR 007680Y with following too closely, hit and run, and duty of the driver to stop or return to the scene of an accident. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
No.
Ms. Campbell?
Yes, Your Honor. The facts as alleged for this defendant are that on the date of March the 19th of this year, at the intersection of John Lewis Freedom Parkway and Boulevard Northeast, this defendant rear-ended the victim in this matter, Ms. Sahar, while she was sitting at a red light. And after he rear-ended her, he did stop and he reluctantly provided his phone number and his name to the victim per the police report. However, he did not furnish his car registration information to the victim as required by the law. And when the police did arrive on scene, the defendant had already left the incident location. And so the victim ID the defendant as the person who hit her from the rear through a photographic lineup. The state is going to be recommending a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial services. The breakdown of that bond amount is $1,000 on the hit and run and $1,000 on the following too closely. The state is also recommending that the defendant be instructed by this court to obey all the laws while he's out on bond. And I would like to just briefly add that he does have a prior traffic conviction for failure to yield right of way from April of this year as well. Nothing further from the state.
All right, it's going to be a $500 signature bond on each charge through the jail. Makes it a total of a $1,500 signature bond through the jail. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. And of course, no one should be committing any crimes, whether they're out on bond or not out on bond. Does that suit you, Ms. Johnston?
Yes, Judge, thank you.
Judge Morrow, just to clarify, there are only 2 charges in this case, not 3. I know it reads as though there are 3, but the full code is driving hit and run, duty of driver to stop at or return to the scene of the accident. We went ahead and checked and the accusation reflects that there are only 2 charges.
Okay, so he's charged with the following too close and the hit and run.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Is that right? Okay.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, so $500 a piece, that makes it for a total of $1,000 signature bond through the jail, no drugs, alcohol, or weapons, and no violations of the law while out on bond. All right, good luck to you, sir.
Yeah, position 4.
Good afternoon, Mr. Davis. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Good afternoon, and yes.
Thank you. Mr. Davis, you've been charged in case 22 CR 007677F with theft by taking. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
18 total. Last arrest was 2018 out of Clarkston. 2 counts of trespass. 2015 shoplifting conviction. 2015 failure to appear, theft by deception. Theft by deception, he pled no law in 2015. Actually, that was 2014. 2012 suspended license. 2009 probation. 2008 misdemeanor possession of marijuana. DUI hit and run conviction. That was 2002. I'll leave it at that.
Okay, Ms. Campbell.
Yes, Your Honor. The facts as alleged for this defendant is that on the date of October 25th of this year, this defendant was actually seen on video surveillance entering into a controlled access room at the 8th Street Apartments, which is located at 555 8th Street Northwest. That is the Georgia Tech campus. This defendant is seen coming in and out of that controlled access room. And while he's coming in and out of the room, he's carrying multiple copper pipes in his hands. The defendant is observed taking multiple trips in and out of that room. And he is eventually seen driving off of the property with the copper pipes. The officers were able to get a tag number from the vehicle that was being driven with those copper pipes inside. And upon running the vehicle registration, they learned that the defendant, Michael Davis, was the registered owner of that vehicle. Additionally, further investigation revealed that this defendant is a contractor for Georgia Tech, and he does have a control access card to those facilities as a result of being a contractor. Additionally, on the date after this incident, October 26th, this defendant is documented as selling 50 pounds of copper at the S&A recycling location. So the state does believe that based on the facts in this incident, and also based on the defendant's criminal history, which as pretrial mentioned, does include a prior NOLO conviction for theft by deception, as well as a prior theft by taking conviction, as well as a prior theft by shoplifting conviction. The state does believe that this defendant poses a risk of reoffending, and that the appropriate bond amount in this particular matter is a $2,500 surety bond. The state would also be recommending that this defendant be instructed by the court to stay away from the incident location at 555 8th Street Northwest, the Georgia Tech campus. The state is also going to recommend that he be instructed to complete an anti-theft class as a condition of his bond. And that is the state's recommendation at this time.
Thank you, Ms. Johnston.
Yes, Judge. Mr. Davis has lived in Atlanta his whole life. He lives in Jonesboro with his 2 kids and his single father, who he takes care of. He's a caretaker for his father, as well as his 2 children, and he provides for all of them. We would be asking for a signature bond based on his criminal history, and it was my understanding that he met the criteria for that. And that's all from defense. Thank you, Your Honor.
Was he recommended, Mr. Howard?
Yeah, SOB jail. I didn't put it on there.
If you did, I don't have it here. Okay, thank you. Ms. Johnston, I heard something about he is a contractor for Georgia Tech. Does he have a reason to have to go back to Georgia Tech or to be on the Georgia Tech campus? I mean, I don't want to hinder.
No, not that I'm aware of, and I don't think he doesn't have that job anymore. So,
Okay.
Mr. Davis, is there any reason you would need to go to Georgia Tech? No. Okay.
No. Okay, it's going to be a $5,000 signature bond through the jail. Stay away from the Georgia Tech campus. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Davis.
Judge, that's all I had this morning. May I be excused, or this afternoon, sorry.
Yes, Ms. Johnson, you have a good afternoon.
Thank you, you too.
I know we have one waiver, I believe.
Yes, that's gonna be position 10.
Okay, and are we done? Does that take care of everybody in the courtroom too?
Yes, we're completed.
All right, thank you so much. I appreciate it as always.
Thank you, Judge. You know, my special request, Judge, just to let you know, wish we could have you every day.
Always nice to know. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Have a good one.
You do the same. Let's see. So Ms. Kim, you're gonna get that waiver to Mr. Jordan. Have you already sent that in? I know that the state likes to have that before we move forward. So you've completed that?
Yes, I did.
All right, so this is Mr. Mitchell, who was charged with sexual battery. Does he have a history, Mr. Howard?
Yeah, he's been in custody since 2021. It's his second adult cycle, I guess. He got a Department of Juvenile Justice hold. He's been in custody for 2 counts of ag assault, shooting at, possession of a pistol or revolver by a person under 18, ag battery, felony obstruction, entering auto, unauthorized possession of a weapon by an inmate, possession of a knife or a firearm during the commission. All his other cycles are juvie. That's it.
Did this happen while he was in custody, Ms. Salette?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, you can go ahead. Thank you.
Yes, Your Honor. On November 5th, 2022, at the Fulton County Jail, 901 Rice Street, there was camera footage of the defendant walking behind detention officer C, S-E-A-Y, and he did touch her buttocks and continue to look at her and watch her while she was overseeing medication at that time. And Officer C did disclose that to other officers at the Fulton County Jail. The state's recommendation at this time is a $5,000 surety bond, no contact with the victim, no alcohol, drugs, or weapon. As stated before, the defendant is currently arrested for aggravated assault, shooting at another person in possession of a firearm by a person under 18 years old. He has 5 total arrests, and I believe he's only 18 years old, Your Honor, already. So the state would argue that he poses a risk of reoffending. And not only does he pose a risk of reoffending outside of jail, he's already reoffended again while in jail. So the state would argue that the $5,000 surety bond is appropriate at this time, Your Honor.
Okay, and Mr. Mitchell, I see you there, so I'm going to give you the opportunity to speak if you would like to at some point. So just hold tight for me, okay? Ms. Kim?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Bernard Mitchell is 18 years old, and he has been there in in custody from June 3, 2021. He also has ankle monitor. Definitely, he's not going anywhere. And for the record, I still think we should be more discreet about the charge instead of like narrating out to the public, because he's only 18 years old. I mean, yes, he deserves to have a future. I just don't want this to be like in the internet forever, which is very, very hurtful to 18 years old. Anyway, he has a 1-year-old daughter that he has never seen because he was in jail for whole time. And he used to have employment, but not anymore. He is actually part-time. It was part-time. He is actually enrolled in Frederick Douglass High School as a 12th grade. He was hoping to graduate May 2023. He says that he gets A's and B's, and he dreams to have a business management license at the community college, Atlanta Technical College. And his mother is actually here because Naomi Campbell is his mother. She's willing to co-sign and help her son as much as she can. And we would like to request for a signature on bond. There's anyway a lot of other warrants and other issues, open cases. Even though he gets a signature on bond from here, he's not going anywhere. Thank you.
Is it, as far as the alleged victim in the case, is it, Ms. Salette, you've asked for no further contact. Is that reasonable given that he's in custody and that she is?
Officer,
Yes.
I think no further violent contact is reasonable, Your Honor. He cannot go anywhere.
Your Honor, we have ordered in the past there be no further contact of any violent or inappropriate nature.
Okay. And Mr. Mitchell, if you'll unmute yourself for me, please.
How you doing today, Judge?
I'm doing well. Hold on.
I'm Bernard, Father.
Hold on 1 second for me. I'll have to, if you want to speak, I'm going to give you that opportunity, but you have to raise your right hand for me first, okay?
Yes, sir.
If you swear affirm the testimony you're about to give before this court be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Sir, yes, I am.
Okay, you can put your hand down. Yes, sir. What would you like to tell me?
That my son, you know, he's Judge on him. I've been a kid before. My son is 18. My son don't get in the trouble. This one is particular time I feel like I'm asking the court to give me a chance with our child. Let us be able to get him home and let us get further because it's holding us back. It's like BJ, I call him my junior, sir. I've been talking to BJ for the whole time he's been in there. I have really been working on it. I became a pastor. So I've been really working on my son from out here. And it become to a point now that I think that an ankle monitor, him coming to move with me, he's not near the scene. He's going to stay with me. I'm willing to do anything I need to get him home so he can go to school, at least have some kind of recognition of a life to at least try to go to college, get an opportunity at least to try to get away, to do something right. I can't do it from in there. It's like he more, I know how right speed is. It's like he more around violence in there than I can more control him here. I'm just begging the court to just please just give me an opportunity for me and my baby mom to be able to just show y'all that it's worth taking a risk on. This one kid is worth it, Judge, Your Honor. And I'm just begging the court to just let me be able to show y'all. I promise you, I will show you and give you my all. I'm begging you as a father to help.
Mr. Mitchell, let me just say that I hear you. I see that you want to do the best by your son. His underlying charges, those aren't before me today, okay? So I can't do anything about any of those charges, really the charges that are holding him in, okay? The only, so that's going to be with another judge at another time. This only revolves around this one misdemeanor charge that he has here. Okay, so with all those other charges, if you'll wait till he goes to court on those and then speak with that judge, whoever is with him, to make your plea regarding that. Okay, as far as this goes, and if he deals with the underlying charges, then we can deal with these charges too. It's going to be
that probably hold him up. That's what I would think.
Okay, well,
if we get him to get a bond on the other charges, with this charge, hold him up.
Well, if he gets a bond on the other charges, then he can come back to me and we can revisit this, okay? But right now, I'm going to give him $1,000 good bond. No further violent or harassing contact with Officer C, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons, obviously, while he's out on bond. Okay, I appreciate you being here, Mr. Mitchell. I'm happy that you're in your son's life, and if you want to make your arguments next time he goes to court for those other charges, I'm sure that would be helpful for him, okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, Judge.
You're welcome. You have a good day, sir.
You too.
Your Honor, I just wanted to add for the record that the defendant also picked up an unauthorized possession of weapon by inmate charge in August of this year as well while he's been incarcerated.
Okay, thank you. All right, anything further for the 2 o'clock calendar? If not, I have Mr. Jordan in court with me this afternoon. And as soon as he is ready, we'll go over the calendar. And Ms. Salette and whoever, Ms. Campbell, both, I was confused by that, by the interpreter case today, so I didn't mean to imply that you all weren't properly doing your jobs, but I've got a lot going on here and trying to put all that together. It took me till the end of that to put it together, but I was in no means meaning to chastise you all about that. Any way that you all can make it easier for me sometimes, I'm trying to juggle a lot of things at once. It's helpful for me, so I appreciate that, okay?
Yes, Your Honor.
Position 1 is a $1,000 surety bond, reset SAP. Position 2 is a $1,000 sign-on bond jail, reset further notice. Position 3 is a $5,000 surety bond, reset to 11/17 competency calendar. Position 4 is a $5,000 sign-on bond jail. Position 3 is a $3,000 sign-on bond pretrial. Position 6 is a $3,000 sign-on bond pretrial. Position 7 is a $1,500 good bond, reset SAP. Position 8 is a $1,000 good bond, reset SAP. Position 9 is a $4,000 sign-on bond jail. Position 10 is a $1,000 good bond. Position 11 is a $2,000 good bond. Position 12 is a $1,000 good bond. Position 13 is a $2,000 good bond.
Any questions or concerns?
You on for tomorrow?
I'll be here tomorrow, but not on this calendar.
You can't swap?
Y'all have a good evening, okay? Thank you.
Your Honor,
Yes.
if Your Honor and Mr. Howard could remain, I just have some administrative matters to take up with the court. It does not